Hello and welcome to another recording of the L and Jerry Football Podcast with me and my trusty sidekick L.
What's up, guys? What's up, Al? What's up, Jerry? Sorry. What's up, Al?
Oh
Wow.
man, that just shows it's been a while since we've done some we need
Yeah.
to brush up a little bit on our form. I think our form's been dropping since the
Get,
you know
getting a bit tipsy on a Sunday afternoon.
that's
Monday
why.
afternoon, brother.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
don't
why
even know
Monday
the
afternoon. Yeah, so today we're recording on a public holiday for Malaysia called Wesak Day, basically.
Happy
So
Wesak Day, everybody.
yeah, I think the main thing on our minds and what we want to really chat about, we'll do a review of the FA Cup final, which just happened on Saturday night. And my
Mm.
gosh, you'll never walk alone, hey?
Hey,
Liverpool
yeah, the
fans. Yeah, I mean,
the
two
going
down
strong.
and two more to go. Okay, we're not going to get into much of the quadruple talk because we're not really, much fans of that. I think we'll just take the season as it goes. But wow, I think one of the cool things I think for this Liverpool team and the fact that it just shows their mentality. I think Al getting through even
Mm,
through to that penalties and beating Chelsea in two penalties basically in the final.
mm,
So many things to talk about, like the likes of Trent Alexander-Arnold having won all trophies, possible to win playing for Liverpool
yeah,
at his
yeah.
age, and
He
even
won.
Henderson, Al being the only captain to win all the trophies.
Mm, that's
Available.
impressive.
Yeah.
Very impressive. Yeah. Yeah. Given the fact that Henderson's been there for a while, and Henderson's weathered all the storms from your managers like before Klopp and so on, and with Klopp, the trusted servant, being Liverpool's main man throughout all the exodus, Moreno and Sacco and all of these players, but he
Yeah.
stayed true, stayed strong, and is a fundamental player for the team, isn't it? And good for him. I think of all people, sometimes Henderson's work goes under the radar a little bit.
Yeah.
We talk about the country, but he in particular very much is the anchor of this team, and you can see it. And top marks to the man, top marks to the man.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on the game altogether? I mean, obviously, for the neutral point of view, we will try to dress it up and say there were a lot of chances. But all in all, I think it was a pretty, I wouldn't say a boring game, but it wasn't the most, you know, um, most interesting FA Cup final out there. Definitely, I think both teams cancelling each other out right until the final minute, and I think both teams equally with chances. I think throughout that game, Robertson with a few chances, Diaz with a few chances, and what I think was that Liverpool took charge of that first half. Right, I mean maybe that
Mm.
first 20 minutes they were sort of high energy and they were sort of controlling the game, and then Chelsea sort of came back into it, and Alisson
Mm.
had a few important saves in that first half, right?
Yep. I think if you look at it on the balance of the whole, it didn't set the world afire. I don't think that this is a final that we're going to be talking a lot about in the coming years. It's not like the Steven Gerrard final, or it's not like the others where we high scoring and worldies and everything. I think if you look at it, this is like a part two from the Carling Cup final that we had, and
Yeah.
both teams addressed their issues. I thought Liverpool didn't play with a high line like in the League Cup game. They were much more assured in the first half, and Chelsea actually had the better of the chances despite having less of the ball, if you remember. And looking at it, I think they were on course. I thought that looking at the first half, they were very dominant possession wise. I did feel this though. I thought when Salah left the field,
Hmm.
the sort of like balance of the front three was a little bit off. I thought that,
Right.
he brought on Jota, if I'm not mistaken, isn't it? And Jota went to the left or to the right. I think he went to the right. Mane went to the middle,
Yeah.
isn't it? And Diaz playing on the left. That was when I thought Chelsea responded better. But Liverpool, I think one thing we can state on them, taking into account the penalties as well, I think their mentality for that team is so incredibly strong. I think it was never a part where I thought they're gonna be, oh man, they're under the cosh right now. I think there were times in the second half where I thought Chelsea really grabbed hold of that game, but again, this is where the defense then stood above their shoulders and weathered the game out, went into extra time, and of course they won it on penalties, right? Allison making a save, I think,
Yeah, yeah,
from was
yeah.
it Mason Mount?
So basically, yeah, it
Yeah,
did go to penalties, and just to go through
yeah,
the penalties, obviously, Aspilicueta with the early miss in, I
mm,
think, when Chelsea took their second penalty, or was it their first penalty? I'm not too sure. And
mm,
it all
mm,
looked like they were set for Sadio Mane to win the FA
yeah,
Cup with that
win the
final
game.
spot
Yeah,
kick, and Mendy,
mm,
his national teammate, pulled off a good save actually, and what Mane said was that Klopp told him, actually, it was Klopp who said this before the match, that he had told Mane to go the other way than what he would usually
mm,
do because he's his
mm,
international teammate. And Klopp said that's the
mm.
last time he's ever going to give advice to his players in terms of where they should shoot
Read
the
that.
penalty, you know? And
Mm,
I think that was a good recovery by Mendy there. But obviously, as it went on, I mean, the Liverpool players, completing all their penalties. And I think Alisson with the important save there from Mason Mount, because it's a good penalty, but it's just a strong left hand, to deny Mason Mount. And obviously, up steps Kostas Tsimikas, Liverpool's
mm,
Greek scouser, and would you say, I guess you could say a player who has gone under the radar a bit this season,
mm,
but has found himself playing a lot of matches, playing a lot of important games, and he even told Klopp before the penalty shootout that he wanted to take the seventh or the sixth penalty. That
mm.
just shows his confidence, I guess, in that.
Mentality. See,
Yeah,
that shows the mentality of being your number
exactly.
one left back, and the togetherness in the team. And I think another thing we can touch upon also is that the dressing room is very strong, and I think that's a really big point. I mean, like I think Roy Keane mentioned in one of the post matches, or I don't can't remember what match it was. He said, if your dressing room is off, forget about titles, forget about winning, forget about this, that, whatever, because the dressing room is the unity, isn't it? And
Right.
this kind of things shows you that I want to take it. Never mind me not starting. I want to take it. I want to step up for my team. And lo and behold, he got the spot kick down the left side, and of course then Mendy couldn't save it. But I want to ask you, right, Jerry? I think looking at it, I think both teams tactically they went with the right setup. I don't think you can fault anything, right?
Right.
Not lots of people would say why start Lukaku, but I think that was the correct decision, in my opinion. I think it's a final. You got to start with a striker. I think you would gamble on playing him, right? Of course, we'll get into whether he was effective or not, because essentially he was not. But don't you think Chelsea has maybe this is what I thought, and I want to get your opinion. I think they have players that perhaps are not as great and technical as we think they are. I mean, we regard Chelsea as being somewhat on the same level as City and Liverpool, but I mean, looking at the midfield, Jorginho, Lukaku, Marcus Alonso. I mean, I know he had that chance, but a lot of them were not very effective in that game, don't you think? And I think Chelsea are going to be needing some form of restructuring next season. What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I feel that I think this Chelsea team is just lacking some firepower, I think, in front.
Mm, mm,
I think with that setup, with that three at the back,
mm,
which can turn into a five at the back, and with those wing backs, I think um,
yeah,
it's a good formation for that squad, and I think it works. However, I think what Tuchel really needs to find is the right players and the right attitude really to fit into that
yeah,
gameplay that he wants to play. Because the thing is, they're going to have to play very wide. They're going to have to do a lot of work, and sometimes that front striker like Lukaku can be isolated, right? Because
yeah,
he doesn't have, I guess, much support on the wing. Everybody's playing behind him, and he's leading the line.
mm,
So a lot of the attacks and a lot of the chances have to come through that person, and that person has to be hardworking. And it
yeah,
seems that Lukaku, I mean, he was the architect of his own downfall. I felt, with the whole
yeah, yeah.
interview and falling out with the Chelsea fans and everything like that. And
Mm,
yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how what Tuchel will do really to strengthen that
mm,
squad, because they're the likes of Thiago Silva, who probably got another season, and
yeah,
Rudiger, who's
yeah,
leaving as well, and
mm,
looking forward maybe to have Ben Chilwell back in the squad even.
yeah. That's a big miss
Um,
for them. Yeah,
yeah, and having the likes of like Havertz and Werner and Ziyech as well on the bench. So it's all about, I think, finding the right formula. Like you see with Liverpool, the front three is
mm,
quite easy. It's usually Jota, Mane and Salah. But now with Diaz there, it's offered um, a new sort of outlet for Liverpool, right, in that attack. But what I find about Diaz is that Klopp and his team have brought in the right players to fit his system well. Because let's say
Mm,
if they had brought in maybe a less direct winger, someone who's
mm.
not as fast and someone who does not press as much, someone with not that much energy, it probably would have not worked, probably would have taken time to get into the has fitted so well into that team is the fact that they found the
Yeah,
perfect player for the system
yeah.
that they want to play. And that's what Chelsea has
Mm.
to do, I feel. You know?
I'm just thinking because people speak about them being somewhat ready-made for the future, but I think I disagree. I think there's a lot that's needing to be going on there with the whole
Yeah.
Lukaku thing. That's like the main thing, the focal point. I think if they had played with somewhat like a, we talk about Chelsea, we talk about Drogba, we talk about them having these focal points. I think if they had played with a focal point, maybe it might have been a different result. Because I just felt he didn't offer much the whole game, and Tuchel's tactics wise also, I thought bringing on Loftus-Cheek, I thought a pointless decision on him. Then, taking him off. Was Havertz on the bench? Was he on the bench, Kai Havertz?
No, Havertz wasn't on the bench on the day, but I'm just talking in
Yeah, I think
general.
that was a big miss. I thought
Yeah,
that was a big miss. I thought that
yeah,
he would have
definitely.
started. Yeah, he would have started. So, I mean, Chelsea don't have monumental problems, say like a Man United or whatsoever, but I think there are going to be lots of ins and outs. Rudiger's
Yeah,
going, like you mentioned. Alonso's leaving, most likely leaving back to Spain, and with Lukaku most likely as well, and Christensen, and I think there's going to be lots of, and let's not forget they've got that whole ownership issue as well.
yes, with
So
the new owners, especially with the owners
yeah,
changing hands, I think be interesting to see how Chelsea develops from now. But El, I think I'll bring your attention, back to Liverpool, right? And
yeah.
just a last question for you before we end this review of the FA Cup final. What do you think this sets them up nicely for the next final that they're going to play? I mean, aside from the Premier League season, we'll speak about that in the next video. What do you think?
Mm.
Does it set them up nicely? Do you think does it improve the morale in that dressing room for that final with Real Madrid? How what do you think the outcome is going to be like there? Any early predictions?
Oh, definitely. I think Real Madrid is going to be posing a different set of a test.
Right.
Of course, we all know that. I think the focal point there is very, very extremely strong at the moment. It's been his season, Benzema's season,
Yeah.
but
Karim, the
again,
dream.
yeah, yeah. And mentally, I think you see, I think this team has been building and building and building on that mental form because we all know how good they've been. And if you remember before the League Cup, whilst they've been having a very good season, nevertheless, we've not been speaking about them in the same very high light, right? But because of that League Cup win, I thought that then springboarded them onto greater things, and now they are with a game in hand and 3 points or something like that behind City, and with a final Champions League final. So winning the FA Cup, I'm sure it's putting them in the driving seat. It's I think they're favorites on the night. I think lots of people regard them as favorites. But having said that, I think Madrid are going to be posing a much more different threat. I
Mm-hmm.
think Casemiro is going to be posing a threat where perhaps we didn't see on Saturday. Jorginho is not that type of player.
Yeah.
Vinicius Junior is not. Vinicius Junior is not going to be like Marcos Alonso. So
Right.
then Trent is going to be under attack almost large parts of the game. And
Yeah.
Benzema, you don't mark him well. It's a header, it's a touch, it's a kick into the box, and it's a goal. And plus, you've been saying it's his season. It's more or less his season.
Yep.
Very different trend, but I think Liverpool firm favourites, is my opinion. I think they're going in with wanting to accomplish more than they already have this season. And fitness-wise, I think they look pretty good. Klopp mentioned that Salah is going to be playing. I think it's going to be a Salah, Mane, Diaz front three for the game.
Right.
Fabinho is going to be starting as well. Klopp
Yeah.
mentioned, so that's going
He
to be
might
a
he
big,
might make it back in time.
big plus point. I think it's going to be down to mentality versus, moments of that team where Real Madrid are always very strong. And if Liverpool get an early goal, which they usually do, so it's going to be setting a lot of nerves. But again, like I said, different threat because City did get an early goal as well. City was leading the tie against Madrid, but out of nowhere, the 90th minute
Yeah,
goals came about.
yeah.
So anything can happen. Anything can happen in Paris. I'm actually very interested for that game. I think it's going to be a cracker. I don't think we're going to get a nil-nil like what we
Yeah.
got in Wembley. But yeah, man, I think Liverpool firm favourites in my opinion. I think they're
Wow.
walking in with heads held high. I don't think Madrid can deal with that press, but stranger things have happened, man. So we got to
Yeah,
wait and see.
we'll see
We got
because
to
I
wait.
think Madrid are the kings of the late game. I think they clutched the late game very well, and Benzema will be looking out. But I think it'd be interesting to see whether Salah can actually last for this FA Cup. I mean, for this UCL final and make it through. I think he's also got a point to prove, and I think that whole squad. I think if they can get the Champions League, even if Liverpool don't win the league, I think this will be seen as a very, very successful season with the three cups. Obviously, looking forward to that match, and we'll definitely give you our thoughts on the match after the match has happened and everything. We'll try to give you a reaction video just like we did for the FA Cup final. So Liverpool looking to end the season strongly and
Yeah,
yeah, see where it leaves them off in preparation for the season that is to come. So yeah, this has been the reaction for the FA Cup final. Do let us know your thoughts and if you like the video, please like, subscribe, and also leave your comments so that we can respond to it. Take care.
yeah.